let's talk about what happens now and in the coming months with Preet Gill MP for Edgbaston, who is also on a local committee monitoring the ongoing inquiries. Preet Gill, thank you for joining us again on this story on Newsnight. It is an interim report, but does it confirm your fears about what's been going on at the Trust?
Well, I think it's a disturbing picture of serious failings at University Hospital Birmingham. The allegations of over 50 whistleblowers from my constituency really confirm that toxic culture which is described. Professor Buick had the opportunity to meet 44 of those whistleblowers directly so that could be fed in to this part of the first review. And clearly that culture contributed to the tragic death of Dr. Kumar. And, you know, today I chaired the cross-party reference group. We heard from Dr. Buick. There are lots of questions from this report, and this is the first report. Of course, it took place after 6 weeks. And one of the assurances we wanted from him is especially on the external reviews that he is suggesting into patient safety be carried out. When will they actually be taken about? And where does accountability actually sit? And how do we contribute to make sure that we are able to hold the Trust, the ICB to account, to ensure that actually the confidence of the public is there in terms of making sure that, you know, people do feel safe. I'm assured by Professor Buick's evidence today to us stating that, you know, the safety issue isn't of concern. Of course, there are things that need to change. Now it's incumbent upon UHB to absolutely implement those recommendations. And what we've asked for is a clear implementation plan.
Let's pick up on that point you made a moment ago about the safety issue. I mean, it does seem, reading the report, that it walks a fine line. It says the Trust is safe, but then it describes persistent failures, that need to be changed immediately, or else it will be or become unsafe. Are you convinced that they're not just trying to reassure people while simultaneously diagnosing these serious persistent problems?
Well, Professor Buick faced a number of challenges and questions in respect of what you've just highlighted, especially with the excess mortality deaths. Clearly there was an issue of coding, but what Professor Buick assured us is that he has checked this out with other clinicians and he is going to monitor this, because what we were really asking for, well, what are the red flags that they need to be looking for? And surely we should be commissioning that report as opposed to just monitoring and waiting. And he assured us that this is something that he's absolutely looking at. But, you know, he's made sure that, you know, immediate patient safety isn't a concern. You know, he has tried to address many of the questions that we raised with him on this point, because of course culture does mean patient safety is compromised at times, and hence, you know, needing the timescales of when these additional external reviews are going to take place. This is really, really important. These are answers that we want. No doubt the public want to as well.
And presumably as part of that cross-examination, you mentioned that they've got a 10% higher mortality rate than similar trusts. What was their response to that? I mean, did you find it convincing?
Well, I think what Professor Buick then sort of told us was actually, you know, quite a lot of trusts face this sort of issue. It's very difficult to say because, of course, he hasn't been able to look at lots of other departments. He's been concentrating some of that on the haematology elements. And so, given that he's going to be part of the culture-led review and he's asking subsequent questions in respect of these mortality rates, he's assured that he's able to follow those through as well.
Now, I don't know how much of David's latest report you heard, but he was talking to the interim CEO and at one point pointed out to him that he'd been the chief operating officer for years on the board. Is that right, do you think, or does there need to be a clean sweep?
I mean, look, this is the initial review and there are 3 parts to this review. Of course, the culture review will really get to the bottom of lots of the governance issues. Now, while some non-executive directors have been replaced, what the cross-party reference group are asking is for the new chair to actually attend that cross-party reference group and give a very clear idea of who has actually left, who is still there, and what is going to happen going forward. I have no doubt that many people will be reconsidering their positions as the next part of the review takes place. We've got to have the confidence of staff because that is the only way we assure patient safety and that is the only way that we can deliver services for people in the region.
Preet Gill, thank you very much indeed. Well,